Welcome to our coverage of the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill Climb. Well, for the last few years, Labour Weekend has meant the Waimate 50, but because of the COVID restrictions, it hasn't happened for a year. Well, guess what? We're back, but we're back with a gravel edition. That's right, we've brought back the race to the White Horse Hill Climb. Some say this is the best hill climb road in New Zealand, and one of those people that says that is Hayden Padden. Now, Hayden is about to make history because, as everyone knows that's followed motorsport over the last year or two, Hayden and his big team down in the South Island have been developing a Hyundai EV. Well, he's got it here today. After a fair bit of testing, it's going to make its competitive debut here on the Horsepower Hill, brought to you by Mount Shop, part of the Waimate 50 Gravel Edition. The iconic Waimate 50 street race may have been put on hold, but with a lot of behind-the-scenes work and fantastic local support, the team have returned Waimate's showcase event for 2021, as Waimate 50 event director Rob Aikman explains.
It's still going. Yeah, we got a long history, so we're pretty proud of that, and you know, we've recreated an event that's sort of more appealing to the modern times, and you know, we just hope that, you know, we've added another variation with the gravel edition we're doing this year, and you know, and attracted people like Hayden Padden to our event, who's a great ambassador for us. So yeah, we're stoked.
There's definitely a bit of nerves this morning. Not really for driving as such, probably more so nerves for us as a team, because you know, so much work and sweat and tears have gone into this, and to have it officially competing was a pretty cool milestone actually. So cool to get 2 runs out of the way now, no dramas at all, but learning a lot about the car. It's you know, we've never been on a road with so much elevation change, so we're learning a lot of new things today, and yeah, we just got to keep getting the data out of it and keep trying to develop the car now over the next 2 days.
After years of development, simulations and computer readouts, the acid test would be performance. How would the Hyundai Kona EV perform?
Oh, exactly. At the end of the day, you still got to get in there, you got to drive it hard, and you know, that's probably what's caught us by surprise in the last 6 months, is just how much is different. You know, it's not just the electric motors and the software and the computers. The way the chassis is working is completely different as well, but we're starting to get a pretty good understanding of that now, and now we're trying to sort of shift some of our attention towards the software and how we can actually get the car performing.
A true adventure into the unknown. Even starting the car is a whole new experience.
Yeah, there's a few buttons in there. I know to start it's like starting up a bloody airplane or something. There's so many buttons and things, I don't know what half of them do, but once you go and you just worry about the steering wheel and the throttle pedal.
With some pushback worldwide over the future of EVs, it's no surprise that it's taken as long as it has to come this far on the rally stage. Hayden and his team are writing history.
Oh, this is only the start. You know, we know there's so much more performance in it. Like at the moment, we're only running at about 60% power just to try and manage a lot of the motor temps. You know, we've got a few compromises at the moment with our prototype battery, so we're waiting on our main battery. The sky's the limit with this car at the moment, so that's the exciting thing. For it to come out of the box and be competitive straight away is promising, but there's just so much more left in it, and you know, we just got to keep chipping away at it. It's not going to be a 5-minute process. We've got to be patient, a lot of trial and error, and even this weekend hopefully we should be able to make some gains by the time we get to the end of the event.
Even servicing takes on a whole new look as well. No reaching for the fuel can, it's volts the team's after.
Yeah, at the moment we're just charging. As I said, this is only the small battery, so we are just doing little top-up charges after every run, just so we got the best performances we can. But long term, you know, we'll probably move towards using hydrogen as a way to charge it, especially when we get to rallies and we need to be remotely doing top-up charges where you normally do your refills. And now in Europe, our suppliers are starting to do 8 to 10 minute fast charges. So, you know, all of a sudden that's a bit of a game changer. You start getting the same sort of range as a rally car, then all of a sudden you're almost on par.
Anyone who has driven a high-performance EV is always surprised by the acceleration. The Kona is no different.
Yeah, well, it gets up and go, you know, even at 60% power, so, you know, it's pretty amazing what it can do. You sit back and enjoy it for sure. You always want more as a driver, but certainly it's just so much more tunable and where we can have the power.
While happy with their early performance, the team is always searching for more from the driver and the car.
Yeah, we definitely need to find more speed up the top. I think up to the first half we're pretty good. Second half and on the top we're losing a lot of time, just simply because we're so far down on power by the time we get up there. So we're trying to find a way at the moment to reverse that in the programming of the car to see if we can compromise a bit more down the bottom and then really try and get the power up the top, because that's where the time is up there if you can keep the speed. So there's a lot more time in it. We don't know quite how to get the time yet, so we've just got to keep doing a trial on a few things and see what we fall upon. Yeah, we'll get there. We enjoy a challenge.
Over the last few years, the traditional start to the McKeown Petroleum Waimate 50 was the Point Bush sealed Hillclimb. This year sponsored by the Model Garage in Waimate and its owner Trevor Joyce. The amazing event, just a stone's throw from the Waimate main street, the perfect example of cooperation between the council and the organisers. Open to streetcars and specials alike, it's always a hit with the spectators and the drivers. The roads were closed, the officials in place, and a good crowd had built up to watch the Point Bush Hillclimb in the afternoon sun. For most of the crowd, it was a chance to reacquaint themselves with some of the South Island's best drivers. But for others, it was a chance to see the Padden Rally Group sourced cross cars in action. For two-time world jet sprinting champion Conrad Scott, it was a chance to show his Hayabusa-powered special. He wanted to be at the sharp end come finals time. A man at the sharp end was Scott Jones, third with a 51.50. A tick off that was Jeff Ward from Wellington in his cross car in 51.49. And the fastest and the champion of the Model Garage Point Bush Hillclimb, Christchurch's Stefan Moser-Rust in his Evo Special, his 56.7, easily making up for his DNF a couple of years ago.
Built for hill climbs predominantly, the 650 horsepower with the sequential box, built by Evo Parts up in Christchurch. And we've got a gravel car which we were going to have ready, but we didn't, unfortunately. So we thought, well, come and race the street. With COVID, we haven't had a lot of time to actually race a lot, so hence why do it. Why not?
A cool morning and hot coffee greeted the competitors for a socially distanced driver's briefing and a traditional roll call, and any last-minute instructions before buckling up and heading up onto the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill. At just over 4 kilometres long, the first obstacle is the Mount Shop camshaft corner. That's quickly followed by 2 fords, one with water in it, the Kirk irrigation dip, and then it's on to the Laurie Forestry hairpin. Easy to lose time there. Up to the spectator point, the Ellerslie Farms Proctor Park, over the ITM Subaru Crest, and on to the Harcourt's Adams Corner, before the McKeown finish. From the first qualifying runs, everyone was into it and charging hard, including Ari Pettigrew trying to launch his BMW. Also charging hard, Dave Fahey in his Mark I Escort. It was fantastic to see the quads back on the gravel at Waimate. The secret to a multi-round competition is to slowly sneak up on your limit. Clearly no one told Scott Jones. Running very wide, just past Proctor Park.
Just come completely unstuck off the road and just been ending up on his lid, but no, it's all good. Just knocks the nerves around a bit, like this run here is going to be fairly cautious. I think just to get back into it again, but
still to come, the racing gets serious on the Horsepower Hillclimb. Welcome back to Waimate, home of the Horsepower Hillclimb, brought to you by Mount Shop. It's part of the McKeown Petroleum Waimate 50 Gravel Edition. Competitors were split into 2 groups, with Group 1 waiting at the finish line after their runs before returning down the hill. Then it was the turn of Group 2 to do the same. It made for a very busy pit area. Meanwhile, on the hill, Tim Smith was wringing the neck of his quick Toyota Starlet, just as Gordon Beebe was doing the same to his Datsun. New Zealand's first female rally champion, Deborah Kibble, led the Mitsubishi Brigade, all in vehicles designed to do what they were doing, as was Kurt Aikman in his Nissan. Here's one car that wasn't designed for this. Neville Pettigrew in his 1968 Chevy Corvette 454 cubic inch big block powered car. Rally fans around the world agree on one thing. There's nothing like the wide open throttle sound of a Mark I or Mark II Escort. That side draft Weber induction brings a sound all of its own. Making that sound was Wayne Pittams of Tauranga.
Yeah, well, your Mark II, it's pretty much based on Group 4, but it's got a Millington 2.5 litre normally aspirated engine, sequential gearbox. It's all the different front end in it, what they call a Group 4 type front end. So it's and it's run the EXT suspension, a bit like the Hondas used to run, which Hayden brings in. So it's a pretty good package, a lot of horsepower. So I haven't driven it for 4 months, so it takes a few runs to get you. People just love it. Like, people come up to you all the time and just love the sound of the cars still, and the sideways stuff, and yeah, it's a smiley face, isn't it? You know.
The last time this hill was raced on, it was part of a full weekend's racing. And coming out on top that day was Michael Tall in the car that became the donor to the one you see here.
Yeah, so it's a full drive Mirage factory, just a little 1500. Yeah, I sort of took the bits out of my Evo. It's taken a lot actually to get it to where it is now, and it's probably the best it's ever been. And the last couple of rallies have been good results in it, and now it's pretty much up to me to make it go faster.
As the weekend progresses, is there more in the car? There's always more in you.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more from me to stop getting too wild. And yes, I'm only running on low boost at the moment because I haven't driven properly, and all the new things that I'm trying to learn, with a lot more responsive car and a lot more boost down low and so forth. So I'll wait another couple of runs before I turn the boost up, I think.
Tall, who normally is joined by wife Lorna in the navigator's seat, is a realist, but also has some expectations of a good result.
Well, I think it's possible to compete with Hayden.
Yep.
His car, the way it is, obviously he's a far better driver, but this car, when I wind the boost up, is going to have more power than what he's got, because he's said that he's running it in rally trim. So that would mean that he's, I've got a way big horsepower advantage over him. At the moment I don't, because I haven't turned the boost up. But I think if I do that and I can handle it and drive it properly, I think I could compete with Hayden, and that would be, as far as I'm concerned, that'd be perfect.
Ian Fitch is one of the achievers in New Zealand motorsport, with a Hillclimb results CV, the envy of many. From the Race to the Sky, Ashley Forest, the Leadfoot Festival, and here at Waimate, to mention but a few. He has widened the eyes and put a smile on the faces of many rally spectators that have seen him at work on his quad. Ian Fitch, it's been a while since we've been here at Waimate, especially competing. What is it of this hill that you remember?
Oh, just everything. I remember it to be a fast-flowing hill. It's just a real big challenge, It's great. You can really get the super quad wound up, and it's a good challenge. I mean, it's just a fun hill to be on.
And there'll certainly be one for you to tick off your bucket list. Race to the Sky, Ashley Forest, Waimate. The list goes on and on. Yeah,
I'm fortunate that we get to do some really good gravel, hill climbs, and this is right up there with all of them, So, very fortunate to be here.
What's the secret to going fast? I know a lot of it's you, but what's the secret to dialing in the bike and going fast here?
Yeah, well, I think, early on it's about patience, a lot of horsepower, very slippery road. So, it's that call between just buzzing the tyres off it or trying to grab some traction, and smooth. I think, anyone that's going fast will tell you, especially on gravel, if you're smooth, you're on the right line opposed to being out in the weeds, and then you chase it from there. So, I just try and be really smooth and accurate.
And what is the buzz about driving this thing or riding this?
Well, the fact that it really hauls, it's completely different to the regular race quad I ride. So, I only sort of ride it maybe 2 or 3 times a year. So whenever you get on it, it certainly gets your attention. But I think it's just the outright speed of it. How quick it accelerates and stuff, and just adds that extra to it. The key is, like any car that's going fast, it's got a handle as well. So it doesn't matter how fast it is, it's generally, how much traction you get and how late you can stop it.
After 7 rounds, it was time for the top 15 shootout. The drivers would be split up into 3 groups, some groups with more in them than others, due to double driving and cross entries. The first group was led away by Christchurch's David Quantock. Quantock got his rallying start back in the 80s in a Mazda 323. Left the sport when business interests and family got in the way, but came back to help his son Job in his quest for rallying stardom. His top 15 time, a 2:09.30. Just squeaking into the top 15 with a 2:07 clocking in round 7 was Christchurch's Jacob Bennett in his Subaru Impreza. Consistently quicker as the rounds went on, he would record a 2:09.69 here in the top 15 shootout, another one that would go slower. Scott Jones had double driven his Mitsubishi Evo 8 in both unlimited 4-wheel drive with restrictor removed and open 4-wheel drive in Rally New Zealand Championship trim. With his confidence shaken in an earlier run, he was back to his best 2:10.54 in open 4-wheel drive spec. Another driving 2 cars, his BMW 318 Coupe, as different as you could get from the Padden Racing Group cross car. Ari Pettigrew's best, a 2:06.33. But here, the BMW was flying. Literally flying. It's 2:05.56, even faster than his best in his cross car. Another look at the high-flying BMW of Ari Pettigrew. Ringiора's Sean Haggerty, or as he's also known, Haggis Muncher, had qualified in his cross car and his tried and true Subaru.
These things smiles for miles. The value's unbelievable. It definitely is. If you've not got one, I suggest you try one.
He elected not to drive the Subaru and concentrate instead on the cross car, which netted him a time of 2:06.58. Jeff Ward had finished a close second to Stefan Moser-Rust in the Friday night Point Bush Hillclimb, but here in the top 15 showed that these amazing Portuguese-built Semog cross cars were equally at home on the gravel as well. A 2:06 to get here and then a 2:05.50 for the shootout. So Ward goes quickest in his group in his cross car from Ari Pettigrew and Sean Haggerty. Plenty more still to come from the Horsepower Hill Climb at Waimate. Welcome back to Waimate. This is Horsepower Hill, brought to you by Mount Shop. It's part of the McKeown Petroleum Waimate Gravel Edition. And we're getting to the business end of the top 15 shootout. Next one to go will be Pleasant Point's Scott Jones. There he is in the Jonesy's Concrete Evo 8. Double entry, so he's running in unlimited 4-wheel drive and he's also running in open 4-wheel drive. Best time of 2:10 and change in open. The car is in the unlimited 4-wheel drive configuration, so that means essentially they take the restrictor out. Now Scott did a 2:06.27 in round number 6 to get here into the 15, so he'll be going to be looking to go a little bit better than that. You ride with him here. We take their onboard shots as he goes through the Kirk irrigation dip. That's the one filled with water. Heading down towards the Laurie Forestry hairpin, and this is a part in the course where you can really lose some time. If you get a little bit wide, drift out into the deeper gravel sections, it's going to cost you a lot of time and you're going to feel it as you start to climb here. So the approach to the hairpin looks pretty good for the man from Pleasant Point. This car's been around the New Zealand rally scene for a long, long time nowadays. Gone through a whole heap of owners before Scott got his hands on it. And while we take this action from the drone, it looks flat, but I can assure you it's not. This is probably one of the steepest parts of the Horsepower Hill Climb, brought to you by Hemi Toya and Mount Shop. Great to see Mount Shop extending their very wide-reaching sponsorship into the McKeown Petroleum Waimate 50 weekend, the gravel edition, up to heading towards Clark Proctor's park. This is in recognition and paying homage to the late great Clark Proctor, who was a super fan of the action here at Waimate. Over the first of the blind crests comes Scott Jones, and this is the ITM Subaru that's the steepest of the crests here. Now onto this gentle left-hander. That's the next little corner that catches the unwary out, and then there's a bit of a sting in the tail as he works towards the Harcourts and Shane Adams corner, paying homage to the late Shane Adams, who passed away earlier this year. Down towards the finish line now for Scott Jones. Remember, this is in unlimited four-wheel drive, and it's a 2:05.51, so a big improvement for Scott Jones. He goes to the top of the tree. I think a lot of people have really been impressed with the performance of these cars.
Yeah, they handle like really good, and they're quite responsive.
So Jack Winter, the next to go in one of the C-Mod cross cars, built in Europe and Portugal. C-Mod been around for about 15 years. The cross car been around for several years now, imported by the Padden Rally Group, Hayden Padden, and C-Mod New Zealand, proud to sponsor the Cross Kart New Zealand Championships, which are upcoming. You'll see the current champion out on his journey a little bit later on in Matt Penrose, but this is Jack Winter through the Kirk Irrigation Ford. He goes into the second one a little bit drier. Now this is the corner that catches a few out as they start to straighten up for the run towards the hairpin. These cross cars powered by Suzuki GSXR 750cc motorcycle engines, 6-speed sequential gearbox, the EXT suspension, all provided by Padden Rally Sport. All a little bit slower as he comes out of the hairpin and up into the second part of the climbing. So heading towards the halfway stage here on the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill Climb. Now he starts the big climb up towards the Ellerslie Farms Proctor Park. This was going to be the spectator area before the COVID-19 protocols kicked in and we weren't allowed spectators. Very, very fast part of the circuit. Up and over the first of the three crests, the second one, the one where you get a fair bit of elevation. The power to weight ratio on these little cars, amazing. That's why they have been so fast. Jack comes from a grass karting background, the boy from Dunedin, and plenty of elevation over the ITM Subaru. Winter's going to improve his time here, I think. Came in with a 2:07.32. That was about 11th quickest, but it got him into the top 15. Now heading towards the Harcourts Adams corner and on towards the McKeown finish line. This is going to be a whole lot quicker than his previous best run, 2:07.32. He's going to stop the clocks at around about the 2:04 mark, 2:04.24. So a huge improvement for Dunedin's Jack Winter. He'll be more than happy with that. This is Jackson Clendon from the Wairarapa. Man, this has been the dream debut for you. First time in the car, and what a performance.
Yeah, it surpassed my expectations. I didn't expect to even be top 15. So, I don't know, I'm just having fun, and it's just all happening, sort of just coming along naturally.
So Jackson's been involved with rallying for the last 2 or 3 years, the last two in his Ford Fiesta in the two-wheel drive class in the New Zealand Rally Championship. He tells me he absolutely loves these little cars. Best time for him, a 2:05.31. That was in round 7. That got him into the top 15. This is the top 15 shootout. You ride on the right shoulder of Jackson Clendon through the Kirk Irrigation. First dip he goes. Lines the second one up now and then heads towards the Laurie Forestry hairpin. 6-speed sequential gearbox, 750 cc's, 12,500 RPM. The tail of the tape for the cross cars. Oh, and he's just a little bit wide, and that's going to cost him maybe a tenth, maybe a little bit more as he exits the hairpin now and begins the climb. The reason you've got to get the hairpin absolutely dead right is because it slows your momentum when you get here, and this is the steepest part of the climb in the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill. Heading towards the spectator area, named in memory of the late, great Clark Proctor and Ellerslie Farms, big supporters of the Waimate 50 in the past. Jackson Cleandon makes a clean fist of that as he cuts it in nice and tight, heads down the hill once again. Ahead of him, 3 crests, one of them where he should get some elevation. You see the cross car getting very light on the suspension as he works his way over the second one, pops the front wheels up, and now it's on to the ITM Subaru. And then the sting in the tail before the McKeown Petroleum finishes the Harcourt's Adams Corner. That's where he's heading at the moment. Another good time, looks like he's going to improve on the 2:05.24 as time is his enemy now as he works his way towards the McKeown finish. 2:05.24 to get there, 2:04.92, so he goes faster as well, and he slots into second place behind Jack Winter, pushing Scott Jones down into third place. This is Michael Tall. Mike, you've been in this position many times before. How do you get psyched up for something like this?
You just got to have a bit of a plan of how you want to gain a bit of time. Certainly need to do a bit better. So just try and push a bit harder through the Ford, maybe across the top of the hill area too, a couple of places. So we'll see what happens.
So Michael had his best run in run number 6 here on the Horsepower Hill, brought to you by Mount Shop, and that was a 2:02.80. So he'll be looking for an improvement as well as the drone tracks him towards the camshaft corner. That's the first obstacle on this near 4-kilometre journey. You ride with him here, you can see the speeds right up down to 4th gear as he approaches the Kirk irrigation dip. Now working through the second dip through it without any problem at all. Oh, and he gets very close to the side of the track and he's caught the left front wheel, I think, and that's going to have repercussions, I'm sure. Either he hit a rock or he hit the wall of the side of the road there. Just watching his progress from the drone as he heads towards the Laurie Forestry hairpin. And he's slowed dramatically, so he's got an issue, I would think, with the left front. Now, whether that's involved the steering or not, but this is really going to compromise his run in the top 15. As I said, a 2:02.80 to get here. This is going to be a whole lot slow, and you can see the damage on the left front as he works his way past the spectator area, going at a snail's pace. And this is what caused the problem. You're on board here as we have a look as he goes through the second of the dips and just clips the bank on the side of the road, and I'm pretty sure he's done some suspension damage to the Mitsubishi. Next up, this is Ari Pettigrew.
Yeah, still learning how far you can push these little machines. They're pretty incredible how fast they can go, so yeah, hopefully we can get a bit more out of it in this last one.
Ari, another one double driving. We've already seen his exploits in the BMW. This is his exploits in the cross car. Got here with a 2:02.24. So that will put him there or thereabouts. There's only been one man so far who's gone under the 2-minute mark, and that was Hayden Padden. And I believe he had Avalon Biddle alongside him then. Obviously, Ari sits alone in his cross car. Padden really sport the distributors of these amazing little cars. Built in Portugal, powered by a Suzuki GSXR 750 Suzuki engine, 6-speed sequential gearbox. They run the EXT suspension, and Hayden is proud to support for the second year the Motorsport New Zealand Cross Car Championship. And this round here in the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill, not so much the top 15, but the qualifying rounds go towards points for the Hillclimb section of the New Zealand Cross Car Championship. Heading up the steepest part of the Horsepower Hill now, brought to you by Mount Shop, is Ari Pettigrew. Ari's a young man in one heck of a hurry. And he's tarnished by what sometimes is a poison chalice, and that is the next up-and-comer. A lot of people tipping Ari Pettigrew to be the next Hayden Padden. Certainly performs above his weight in the BMW, the 318 Coupe, and certainly doing a fantastic job here in the cross car. The BMW Coupe time for Ari was a 2:05.85. This is going to be a whole lot quicker than that, as you would appreciate in the cross car. Or is it? Off the second of the blind crests he comes. That is the ITM Subaru. A couple of corners to go and he'll be through to the finish. And now into the Harcourt's Adams corner and on to the McKeown finish. Ari Pettigrew. looking to go better than the 2:05 he did in the BMW, and I don't think he's going to do it. Time's going to be his enemy. The time's ticking away. This is going to be slow, so he lost a lot of time in the second half of the hill. 2:06 dead. He won't be happy with that, and that is slower than the BMW. So Ari Pettigrew goes to the back of the group. Plenty more still to come here from the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill Climb at Waimate. Welcome back to Waimate for the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill Climb. Next to go, transplanted Queenslander. This is John Spencer, now living in Dunedin. Was fastest, topped his group with round 1. John, you led the group at the first run yesterday, Saturday morning, and you've been going quicker and quicker. But I remember you said to me at the time, you said, I'm going to save it all for the final. Guess what, my friend? This is the final.
It's time to walk the talk, Bill. Yep. Yeah, you don't know how long I've been looking forward to this, mate. Like, I'm so looking forward to this run.
So the transplanted Australian on his way, now living in Dunedin. Be interesting to see how he copes with the climate in Dunedin as opposed to the heat and humidity of Queensland. Done a lot of racing in his time, started racing back in the 80s. This is a car originally built by Rhys Jones, purpose-built for rallying. That was back in 2001. It's had many modifications since. And as you heard John say, he was fast right from getting it off the trailer. Can he be fast again? Got through to the top 15 shootout with a 2:02.11. You're watching him at the office here as he works his way down towards the Kirk irrigation dip and then into the hairpin. Just runs a little bit wide maybe, and that's going to cost him just a little bit of time, just a little bit too wide coming out of there. I know he wanted to carry the momentum coming out of the hairpin because it pays dividends as he works his way uphill now, heading towards the Ellerslie Farms Proctor Park, the spectator area. Now that looks very benign from the drone, but let me tell you, it is very, very steep as he gets to the top of this part of the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill. Right, so one interview to do for the John's done plenty of driving in his career, but also done plenty of servicing as well. The London to Sydney car rally, the Sweden to Jordan car rally. He was on the service crew there. He likes the driving. He's driven on this hill before, but it was in a classic Datsun. It was many, many moons ago. He lines up the ITM Subaru. And that's a heavy nose-down landing for the Mitsubishi and John Spencer. Heading down now towards the Harcourt's Adams Corner. Adams Corner as a commemoration of the fine work that Shane Adams has done in motorsport in New Zealand before he passed away earlier this year. Heading towards the finish line now, 2:01.14. That's the fastest time for Spencer. Have a look how hard he's trying. Nose down attitude, in fact a heavy front end landing as he came off one of the blind crest. Something special now, Ian Fitch in his super quad.
It's been a long wait from our last run, so really looking forward to getting out there and just trying to put a bit of an improvement on the last run.
So away goes Fitchy, and he just gets balked a little bit at the start. So that's going to cost him maybe a tenth, maybe a little bit more. You're on board with him here and now. The drone doing its very best to chase him as he works his way through the Mount Shop camshaft corner. Ian Fitch has done such a lot of work for ATV sport for such a long, long time. In fact, he's been recognised this year with induction into the Motorcycle New Zealand Hall of Fame, and rightly so. He's a many-time New Zealand ATV motocross champion. He's an AMA US motocross champion. He's been responsible for bringing out some of the best ATV riders in the world to compete here in New Zealand. And as I said before, anytime you see him race, it not only widens your eyes, but it certainly puts a smile on your dial. He's made it through the Kirk irrigation dip. He's heading now towards the Laurie Forestry hairpin. And he's got it wrong, a half spin for Fitchy, and that's going to cost him big time. And he can't afford to do that. Came in with a 2:01.28 to be right in contention, but that time might have blown out a little bit now as he heads up the hill towards the Ellerslie Farms Proctor Park spectator area. This machine, the BRM 1000 Super Quad, an absolute engineering marvel, and the guy that drives it is just exquisite. No one could drive this machine as fast as Ian Fitch. On board as he works his way toward one of the crests. two-wheel drive. Plenty of horsepower on board. He said the secret is getting the horsepower to the ground, not burning up the tyres. But unfortunately, after the mistake in the hairpin, that doesn't mean too much now. So the 201 is not going to stand, I wouldn't think, back on board, looking into the face of Ian Fitch here for the Waimate 50 Gravel Edition, the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill, heading through the Harcourts Adams Corner and down towards the finish line now. 2:01 and change to get here. It's going to be well over that to finish the top 15 shootout for Fitchy. A 2:05.57. He will be not happy with that. This is Scott Simpson in the VW Polo. 2:01 that got you here. It's just steady progression for you right across the whole weekend.
Yeah, yesterday, yeah, I just can't seem to match it today, but I've only done 2 runs, so hopefully we'll see what this one brings.
Well, the reason that Scott Simpson's only done the 2 runs, he beat Hayden Padden in run number 6, but then discovered a mechanical gremlin, set out run number 7, and now here he is in the top 15, the drone doing its very best to chase down the VW Polo of Scott Simpson, part of the Padden Rally pack, pitting right next to Hayden's operation through the Kirk irrigation dip. No problems at all for Simpson. He was chasing a bit of an oil leak. He was double driving until it got serious here at the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill because he was driving a Ford Escort as well. And I asked him about jumping from car to car. He said, yeah, they're a little bit different. We track him from the drone as he heads down into the Laurie Forestry hairpin. Once again, he runs it a little bit wide out into the deep stuff. 2:01.61. At one stage, he was the fastest on the hill. That was in round 6. But since then, Hayden Padden has gone under the 2-minute mark. Padden's still to run, of course, as we're watching Simpson negotiate the steeper part of the cross. Oh, and he's gone off the road. Well, that gentle left-hand has caught out the man from the deep south, and the Polo has stopped. So forget about making the top in the top 15. He's got it going again now. Might see if we can have another look at that. Scott Simpson, it's all gone horribly wrong. You can see for yourself the damage. Ripped the front left guard off the V-dub, and the time will blow out and he won't be happy with that. Well, it was just a small, uncharacteristic mistake from Simpson. Well, that 2:01.61 is not going to mean anything now. This is going to blow out well over 2:10, I would think. And the fight seems to have gone out of the Southern man. Heading down towards the finish, right here, taking the Mount Shop pictures with Scott Simpson. He'll be filthy on himself. A small little mistake, that's all it takes. You see the battle scars as he works his way toward the finish line now. And it's going to be even slower than the 2:10. 2:17.54 for Scott Simpson. So let's have a look at it on the replay. Just gets a little bit wide coming out of the left-hander, and all that sideways action's got to go somewhere, and it just clips the water table and rips half the bodywork out of the V-dub, and then it comes to a halt. So this is Matt Penrose. There's not too many vehicles that Matt hasn't driven. In fact, he's driven on this hill before as well. This is in his semi-cross car that he leases off Hayden Padden. But he's also driven his Subaru WRX here at Waimate a few years ago now. He's a karter, both a grass karter and a sealed karter. He's a 5-time karting champion, and he has been very, very fast all weekend long in this cross car. No surprise, because he is the New Zealand champion in the cross cars, looking to defend that title here as the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill, a part of the cross car championship brought to you by Padden Rally Sport and CMOG. On board once again as he heads towards the hairpin now, Matt Penrose, a perfect combination with his dad, his mechanic and his mentor as they get closer to the Laurie Forestry hairpin. Right on the limit, 12,500 RPM from the Suzuki motorcycle engine powered machine, built originally out of Portugal, now imported by the Padden Rally Sport Group here into New Zealand. And the Padden Rally Sport Group proud to sponsor the upcoming Cross Car Championship. Up into the steep section of the hill they come now. You ride with them here. This is where it went wrong for Scott Simpson. No problems at all though for Matt Penrose, the man from Christchurch. I don't even know. over the top of the crest he comes. Oh, and just has 2 bites of the cherry as he goes past the spectator area and heading down to the first of these blind brows. And this is the one that really gets your attention, and that is the ITM Subaru. It's left-hander, and that will take you on to the Harcourt's Adams corner. And that is the last fly in the ointment, if you like, before the flying finish, the McKeown's flying finish. This is going to be a fast time for Matt Penrose. Is he going to go under the minute? The only man to do that so far is Hayden Padden. Is Penrose going to do it? Yes, he is. 1:59.92. He's the fastest on the hill, with Hayden Padden still to come. Here is the man of the moment. This is Hayden Padden. Hayden, you decided to sit out the last qualifying. Was that because you were confident, or was that because you were fiddling with the car?
Oh no, we're just trying a lot of things. There's a lot of things we're learning with it. So yeah, the car's certainly capable of a lot more, but we're just not quite sure how to extract it at the moment. But hey, we're collecting a lot of data, a lot of stuff, and yeah, there's a lot more in it. So if we can try and find a way of unlocking some of it in this run, then hopefully we can have a better time.
So the last run for the Hyundai Kona EV, Hayden Padden at the wheel, a one-in-a-generation driver. A lot of people have said that, as well as me. 5 times the New Zealand Rally Champion, 2016 outright winner of the WRC in Argentina. That year he finished 4th, driving for the Hyundai factory team. Here he is, pushing his own barrel, if you like. This is a car that he and his team have developed from, well, sketches on a napkin in a pub, perhaps. It is the competitive debut of the Hyundai Kona EV rally car, and Hayden Padden, look at that, just looks as dispassionate as ever, just getting about his work as he heads down towards the Lorry Forestry hairpin. The only one, as I said, under the 2-minute mark, 1:59.76 in round number 6. He sat out round number 7. Were they making changes to the car, or was he satisfied that no one could go quicker? Perfect execution of the hairpin that time around, and that will mean he will carry the speed as he heads to the steepest part of the racetrack. 1:59.26 to beat. A 1:59.92 we've just seen from Matt Penrose. John Spencer knocking on the 201s. This is going to be oh so close. Last man to go, fastest man on the racetrack, heading towards the Ellerslie Farms Proctor Park, the spectator area here, nice and tight, keeps it in tight as he heads downhill once again. All concentration as he works the first of the blind crest, as the next sting in the tail will be the ITM Subaru. Very light on the suspension, on the EXT suspension in the Hyundai. And onto the Harcourt's Adams corner. Are we going to see a faster clocking than the 1:59.76? He's already the fastest man on the hill. Can he win the shootout as well? 1:59.76 to get here. The finish line is in sight. He crosses the McKeown finish line. 1:58.38. He goes even quicker. That is the Hayden Padden we all know so well. So Padden goes to the top of the charts. A 1:58.38 pays 1:59.92 from Matt Penrose. Job well done for the top 3. We caught up with Matt Penrose.
Obviously really happy with how it all went. You know, being the first round of the Cross Car Championship, that went really well, and then it was a bonus to end up second overall as well.
All in all, really, really good. You know, I think we obviously knew it was always going to be tough for the first time with an electric car and a whole new atmosphere and environment for us. So super proud of the team and the boys. You know, there's a lot of heart and sweat and tears that have gone into this project. We started from a blank piece of paper, and we still got so much to learn about this car and how to extract the most from it. So to come away with a win on debut is just a huge credit, I think, to everyone that's been part of this project so far.
Well, we've seen history here at the Mount Shop Horsepower Hill. The competition debut is a winning one for Hayden Padden and the Hyundai Kona EV. Come back again next year and make history here at Waimate.